All right, what's up, and welcome to my wealth journey. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about some of the best and some of the worst banks, accounts, and apps that you can use for banking and investing. This is just based off of my personal preferences and things that I use and things that I have learned about over time. It's purely informative. So these are things for you to do further research into for yourself to find out which ones are best for you. But I will say, let me start with the worst first. The worst of the worst, you will do better if you have Bank of America and if you have Wells Fargo. Top two worst, you can get rid of those. So I'll start with those two as being the worst, easily, hands down. They're predatory and they like to try to find ways to charge you for either not, like, you have to either have minimum balances or they have fees, just like little hidden fees and little things here and there. Basically, those banks are like the house. It's always going to be, and any kind of thing is going to be more in their favor than it's going to be in yours. They're not going to really give you any interest for holding your money with them. Like, they really don't give you anything worthwhile, like worth keeping them, honestly, in my opinion. Other than that, they're just like the big main banks that people are used to. And it is kind of a pain in the butt to switch, but I promise, well, at least to me, it's worth switching. I'm still currently switching out of Wells Fargo into my number one bank pick, Charles Schwab. So Charles Schwab is a bank that I have a brokerage and checking account in. And not only is there no fees, no minimums, and anything like that, but they will give you like your first five, they will give you stocks in your brokerage account for free. Like, they'll give you, it's not anything crazy, of course. I think it's like $10 of each of whatever the top five stocks are. But still, how many banks do you know that like give you free stocks for opening a brokerage account with them? So that automatically gets you started investing, and that's gonna take me into some other places that you can have brokerage accounts and investing accounts, not necessarily bank accounts. Vanguard was what I used to set up my first Roth IRA. So my first retirement account was a Vanguard account. They were pretty simple. It's free. You do need to invest the money, so don't just put it in the account like I did. I just put it in the account because I learned somewhere through the years that Vanguard was a good place to open a Roth IRA retirement account, but I didn't know that you have to allocate what that money is invested in until I started getting more into financial literacy. So this is why we are here, and I am sharing what I've learned with you guys. So whichever brokerage account you use or whichever retirement account you use, choose where the money wants to go. And that's another thing that I like about Charles Schwab. Sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted on this one. But because they already give you your first five investments, and it's just whatever the top five companies are. So I think they give me like Google, Apple, Microsoft, I don't know, whatever. And that makes it really easy because you can just allocate more money into those few shares to start if you want, like just small amounts, maybe like $10 a month more into each of those shares, and just have it like set it up to buy those continuously. And then, as we talked about in the last video, how I pick investments, as you get more comfortable, you can pick more to add to your brokerage account. And also, I noticed that they give me interest even just on having money in my checking account. And I definitely have never gotten interest on my money in my checking account from Wells Fargo. So F them. You should be paid to keep your money wherever you keep it. You should get paid for it. All right, moving on. Fidelity. So we had Charles Schwab, Vanguard. Now we're on Fidelity. Fidelity, I opened accounts with them back a long time ago. I was listening to some financial literacy stuff on YouTube. Woo! And I learned about Fidelity. Fidelity is one of the few, I think one of the few or only woman-owned banks, brokerages, whatever. And I like that. And when I looked into it, there was like no fees. It was easy to set up. I got like a personal. I wanted to have a separate account for just to put money into consistently to build savings, but that gave me a higher percentage than a what do you call it, a high yield savings. So I'm not sure if they actually gave me a higher percentage than the high yield savings, but I didn't feel like I had a high yield savings account. I was using Ally. This is not part of the recommendations. I think Ally only gives you maybe like 3% right now. I can give a recommendation for high yield savings if you're into that as well. But I took all my money out of Ally and moved it into Fidelity because I liked the way Fidelity also gives you brokerage and what do they call it? They called it a personal. I had like an individual like a savings account, but that was like automatically earning me interest. I think it was money market actually. So again, this is for you guys to do your homework. I'm giving you guys a suggestion so you can go do further research into it. I already did it now, and I like them, and I've like seen how they move over time. So I'm telling you what it's been doing for me over time, but it's still ultimately up to you. But yes, for a brokerage, another brokerage, and like an individual account, I believe Fidelity is a great platform, is a great service. I enjoyed having them. I'm kind of switching out of them right now because I have too many accounts. You don't need all of them. You can pick like between I feel like Charles Schwab and Fidelity are they're kind of similar, except for Fidelity isn't really like a bank. Like I didn't get a bank card from them. I don't know, maybe I could have, but like Charles Schwab actually, like they sent me a bank card. I direct deposit my checks in there just like I did with Wells Fargo. Can attach all my credit cards to that checking account. So I don't think you can get like a checking account with Fidelity, but you can get like an individual and different types of like brokerage, and you probably do a retirement account also through Fidelity. I'm pretty sure. And then outside of those types of accounts where you can like choose investments, there's also really easy kind of apps that are not banks. They're just apps that you can hook your bank up to, whichever one you're using, and invest in the market with the app. So it makes it a little bit more user friendly. So how I very first got into investing after those Dominion shares that my mom told me about was M1 Finance. M1 Finance was my first like big girl investing foray. It's an app that it asks you kind of what your tolerance is, and like if you want like a high risk, medium risk, low risk, it'll kind of take you through some questions to figure out what might be the best setup for you, or what might be the best things to invest in. You can like set up I put like a retirement 2045 or 30. That seems far. 2045? Maybe it was 2035 because I want to retire early. So I picked like a projected retirement of whatever I picked, and yeah, they just kind of walk you through stuff. It's pretty simple. We're pretty technically savvy population for the most part these days, so I feel like M1 financing, I don't go on it very often, so every time I do I kind of have to like look for stuff a little bit, because if you're a passive investor like me, you don't want to be checking that stuff a lot, because you'll start getting emotional watching your money drop. You only want to check it after a long time when it already did the dropping and you missed it and you didn't see it. So yeah, I always kind of like have to maneuver around to figure out how to do things, but it never takes me more than like a minute to find what I'm looking for. So I feel like it's relatively user friendly, and yeah, I like it. The other one is Robinhood. So this one you've probably heard advertised. They have Robinhood kind of like splashed all over the place, especially during that time frame. I purely got Robinhood to invest in cryptocurrency. I mean, you can invest in anything on the market, just like with M1 Finance. It's just a different interface. It has a whole different vibe and feel when you look at it. To me, it looks really, it's like a green and black layout, black background with like green everything else. And I don't know, something about it, it just feels like cryptocurrency for me. For me, but that's also the only thing, mainly the only thing that I invest in on my Robinhood account is crypto. So I feel like it just looks like a sci-fi app to me. I use it for my Bitcoin. But also I feel like that's another one that it's made to be even simpler. So I will say the interface and how you buy on Robinhood is probably like a smidge simpler than M1 Finance. And yeah, just you can set up auto payments for both of them. Pretty freaking easy. And Robinhood also gives you updates on what the market's doing all the time. I'm not sure if M1 Finance does, but I see updates from my Robinhood all the time. I don't click on them because remember, we don't keep checking, but they will give you updates. All right. So those are my two apps that I've used and that I've enjoyed both of them. Worth looking into. Great way to start off. And I've had a few specifically crypto apps. I tried Coinbase and maybe one or two other ones. I didn't like those as much. I think it's very much kind of a personal preference. These are just starting points for you to see. Like you might like those other interfaces better than I did. So, but it gives you somewhere to start. And then as far as if you really want to do a high yield savings account, make sure you get one that's giving you at least 5% interest on your money for a high yield savings account. Because what these banks are doing, and why all banks honestly should be giving you interest on your money, is because the whole reason that banks work and they make money and get rich is not just because they're holding your money because everybody can, ask for their money at any time. It's because they're using your money. Like when you put your money in a bank, they are using your money to make money for themselves. So if they are not paying you a part of that, you are being slighted. They are literally investing your money for themselves, either into the stock market or they're like buying, I don't know, they could be buying real estate for all I know. They probably buy tax liens, tax deeds. Like they're probably buying all kinds of ish. They're buying whatever gives them the best return for their money. And so they're probably getting anywhere from oh yeah, and then they're charging you. They're charging if they got credit cards. I have one credit card through Wells Fargo, which of course, like I said, I'm switching out of. And they charge high ass interest on that. So yeah, they're getting anywhere from like 18% plus interest off of you. 18+%. So if they can at least give you 5%, like if you're doing a high yield savings, that's all they're doing with your money. They're using your money to make money, and they give you a little tiny, like, oh, they're giving you the scraps, basically. Like, whatever those small percentage interest rates you get, those are the scraps. So, if I can remember the name of, there's like a couple that give you 5% as of now. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you the names of the ones that give you 5% because this was the last time that I looked it up. But they kind of change periodically, and I want this video to be able to last for whenever people need it. So just look for it. Literally go to Google. This is all I was about to do is type in high yield savings accounts, or best high yield savings accounts or highest percentage interest high yield savings account, anything along those lines. Honestly, if you're good at Google, you can do it. I believe in you. But yeah, don't do anything under 5%. If you see 6%, I mean, make sure you read the fine print and don't get got. But if you see 6%, do that one. I wish I could remember the name off the top of my head, but I can't. I'm sorry, and my phone doesn't want to open right now. But if you have any questions, suggestions, did I miss anything that you like to use, you prefer, please drop it in the comments. Like and subscribe. Make that money.